Welcome again, everybody. And this time we have Stanislas DOLCINI with his talk 080 Empires Ascendant, a FLOSS game. Please enjoy it.
All right. So, hello everyone. So today I'm going to talk about 080. So we're going to cover a few things. I'm going to start with the general presentation of the project for those of you that don't know the game. Then I'm going to talk quickly about the engine behind 080, which is called Pyrogenesis. Then we're going to cover the tools we use, how we hosted by on the web and everything. Some legal matters. Then we'll talk about recruitment and communication, and we'll finish on funding. And then I have some other slides depending on the time we have to cover the future and stuff like this. So I really hope you enjoyed this presentation, and let's get started. So we're going to start with the project presentation, as I said before. So what is 080? History, features, users, the team, and the progress report. So 080 is an historical antiquity-based real-time strategy game, which is kind of hard to say. So the idea is you start with a simple military base, and you expand and you grow and evolve to beat your enemies. It's free, it's libre, and it's open source. The game is already playable. It should be available on most distributions, although it's starting to be deprecated because of Python. So it's available on Mac, Linux, Windows, and BSD. The project started 19 years ago. It was made by players and modders from Age of Empires, Age of Kings. At the beginning, they started this mod you can see on the right, which is called Rome at War. The idea is they just wanted to add new functionality to the Age of Empires game, but after a while they just felt limited and they wanted to try something else. So they started a project, and they started everything from scratch in the hopes of making a game that would be like Age of Empires. A lot of things happened between that time and 2009, but they didn't have any more fuel to keep the project running, so they decided to make it open source, which is thanks to what I'm speaking to you all right now. The latest version is Alpha 23B. Kenwood was one of the founders of 080. So this game has 5 combinable game modes, so you can combine conquest structures and everything. So you can create different types of play depending on this. If you, for instance, you're not into much fighting, you can just use the wonder mode, where you can just build a wonder, and the first one to build it wins. You have single player against the AI. You don't have campaigns yet, but we hope to be able to add this feature in the future. So you can also play in LAN with your friends. If they are at your place, you can connect to them, and you can play in one if you have their IPs, or through a multiplayer lobby using Stun and everything, so you can connect to them and chat in a more modern fashion way. The game also features random procedural map, so you got the basic sets with I think 20 or 30 maps, and then there are maps that are completely random and change everything. They just keep the biome of the original one. So let's say you have a desert map, it will always be a desert map, but everything will change places. When you play on the multiplayer lobby, in which you have to register, you can have a 1v1 rating. It's a LO system, so just like chess. We also feature a map editor, so you can create your own maps using the game. We have like some anonymous opt-in feedback, so you can give us statistics about your computer and the hardware it runs, so we can make better assumptions in order to increase performance. We have like some kind of high quality graphics, as you can see, for an open source game. It's something like we're really proud of. Like we had a lot of artists coming along during the past years. And finally, the engine is completely moddable. So if you don't like the setting of the already and you think it should be a medieval game or it should be in a futuristic time frame like StarCraft, you can totally create your own game. So yeah, so the team since 2000, like we had over 200 staff members. We have over 500 external contributors, plus the translators. Currently, there are officially 30 members with the 15 nationalities you can see on the right. So not all, it might seem like a big number, but we are actually not that much. Active, I'd say we are like 5 or 6 at the same time. It's rare that all the members are gathered in the same place. And then there are external contributors, which I mentioned before. We have a lot of moders who create their own modes. They have like different gameplay, or they add factions. For instance, the Chinese or some medieval factions. So our users registered in the database, we have like 100K multiplayer accounts. Around 5K only are used every month. During the COVID lockdown in the beginning of the year, we had at most like 500 players at the same time in the lobby. Generally, it's between 60 and 120. So yeah, there had been like 342K downloads in 2020, which is 100K more than the year previous. And we can't track, which is good, the downloads from the Linux package manager, so they could be like a lot more. Those are only the direct downloads or the torrent downloads. As you can see on the top right, we have like 40% of our users that have activated the opt-in feedback, which are on Linux, 12% on Mac, and 46% on Windows. So I'd say Windows and Linux are kind of even, so it's important for us to continue supporting both platforms as well as we can. So yeah, so for those of you that don't know the game, the last release was in 2018. We're still working on a new one. Like it's been the longest release since longest time between the releases since at least 10 years. We had like some trouble. So during that release, there were like new 3D models. We added new maps. We added the support for Mod.io, which is a platform by the creators of ModDB, which allows you to upload and manage your modes, so you can download them directly from the game. You can now see like building ranges. We added diplomacy colors. We became GDPR compliant by adding all those terms and stuff. And we added a new function, the Kushits, which is basically Ethiopia. Since then, we haven't stopped working on the game. So on the programming hand, we improved pathfinding and performance. It's still not that drastic, but it gets better. We improved water reflections. We added like MSAA and FXAA filters, which allows you to remove the jag lines on the objects, which was one of the biggest downs of our graphics engine. We added support for Wayland, which was kind of broken in the 23rd version. We improved our CI, like we added a lot of things to be able to test on multiple platforms. We finally deprecated the fixed function pipeline. So if you have like a very old hardware, you might not be supported in the next version. This will allow us to improve the look of the game and the performance, because we are going to be able to support more OpenGL extensions. Finally, we managed to update SpiderMonkey, which is the library we use to do JS parsing, because we use JS as a scripting language, which is kind of uncommon in game engines. Those were big upgrades because there had been a lot of changes and a lot of breaking changes in those versions. And it's basically that the library is basically bigger than our code. So they had a lot of changes from our stuff. We also fixed some problems with memory leaks. There were like some problems on late games where the game would just start eating your memory. On the outside, we worked on new flora and new fauna, so you'll see probably new animals on the maps. We also added a few new buildings, as you can see on the right, some for the Ptolemies, which are the Egyptians around 080. We added new maps, we improved the unit textures, we added more voice for the units. So the voices are like as historical as we can make them, because they are dead languages and nobody speaks them anymore. For instance, the Kushites speak Napatan, which is a dead language. So we had to do like some research in order to be able to reproduce the voices. We also added like new buildings for all factions, like arsenals, which is the equivalent of the workshop, ranges and stables. We improved icons, and we improved a lot of the unit's equipment, like new helmets and stuff. So yeah, now I'm going to talk a bit about the engine. So it's an homegrown game engine. We are not using Godot, we're not using Unity, we're not using Unreal. So everything is custom made for us. So it's in C++, and the scripting language is JavaScript. All our assets are like XML or JSON. We use a lot of Python and Perl, which will be important in the future because they're deprecating Python too. We use Premake for build system. Our multiplayer chat is based on XMPP, so we have like a room and everything you can join. All translation are handled on Transifex through PO5s. We have a script that uploads them daily. And the graphics engine is on OpenGL 2, and it also supports ARB shaders for older hardware. I'm not going to list them all, but we have like quite a few third-party libraries. The most important was being SpiderMonkey, as I mentioned before. Yeah. So now I'm going to talk a bit about the contribution management, like how we work with people and stuff. So most of our work is now done on Fabricator. For those of you that didn't hear about it, because it's quite new, I think Blender uses it too. So basically, it's just a platform like GitLab or GitHub, which allows you to review patches, post comments and stuff. But you can also, the important part here is the usage of the tool called Arcanist, which is important in our case because we're using SVN and we're using Git mirrors. So Arcanist allows you to be versioning system agnostic. You can use Arcanist on both SVN and GitHub and Git to submit your patches, which is practical because we can't undergo the migration for now. Yeah, so So as I said, like we're using SVN, we have about 8 gigabytes of files. So yeah, it's for historical reasons. Git wasn't out in 2005. Also, it allows you to clone like one of the specific directory, while Git you have to clone the whole repository, which is practical because we have some people who just wants to copy one part of the code. The biggest reason we're sticking with SVN right now is the binary files, because Git quickly gets very big, and we want to be able to keep self-hosting our solution. But we still offer 2 Git mirrors on GitLab and GitHub in case you prefer to use this. For bug tracking, we use Track, which is made by a company called Edgewall. So yeah, it's a basic ticketing system. You can just report bugs there. We have about like 1,200 tickets open. Most of them are like things we need to. Most of them are bugs, but there are also feature requests and stuff we use to keep track on the missing task. On there are like 3 pet peeves type of tickets. Mostly are like graphic bugs on specific hardware, random freezes, and permission bugs, where you just have an antivirus preventing you from using the game's file. It just happened to me today. So yeah, on Track you also find the wiki, which will contains all the information about how to build the game and how the game is structured and everything. You also find the initial game documents, and it's open, so everybody can fix stuff there. Like you can edit it directly. And the advantage is the change our versions, so we can like just roll back and everything if there is a problem, or just be able to track what changed over the time. There are many guides about like modding, map making, how to handle art files and everything. So now I'm going to talk more about the CI, the continuous integration. So all our patches run through Koala, which is a tool in Python that allows you to, well, call other tools like slint or CPP check to check for, for linting errors. So for instance, incorrect usage or missing spaces, stuff like this. This way you don't have to report this because it's automatically posted on the differential. Which is the window we saw before on Fabricator, where you can post your code. So yeah, we just path everything every time a patch is submitted, like the whole content of the file is checked for errors. For continuous integration, we use Jenkins. So Jenkins, for those of you that don't know it, is an open source automation server written in Java. For those who don't know much about this, it's basically something that will run builds of the game. So you just make a patch and it will try it and say, oh, it doesn't build. So it will pass a comment on Fabricator saying there is a problem or there were warnings about stuff. So now I'm going to talk about hosting a bit. So we only have one server. Everything is done in virtual machines. So among the virtual machines, there are like stuff like the CI machines, which runs the build. We host the server for the forum. We host the lobby. The multiplayer XMPP lobby is hosted on one of these virtual machines, and a lot of other stuff. So as you can see, it's a pretty strong machine. It's our biggest expense at the moment. But so far we are quite satisfied with that. So now I'm going to turn to more about the legal stuff. So in 2018, the GDPR came into place, and we had to review all the things we were doing, and most importantly, all the things we were doing wrong. So the first thing we wanted to know was whether we were GDPR compliant. So we had to look at all the process data we had on the lobby, on the servers and everything to make sure we had the minimum data personal relating to people, which is the Article 4, and also that we had purpose trying to use their data, because you could just gather everything, which was what most companies were doing at the time, just take all the data and don't care about it. So we added a lot of stuff in the game to be able to so show you how your data is processed and everything. So you can know, for instance, if you start the user reporter, the thing that sends hardware data to us, you will see a nice window that explains how is the data is processed, where is it sent, and what it is used for. You can also, if you're unhappy or want to delete your account, lodge a complaint asking for data deletion in case you need it. And then there was this American law, because we are cross-platform, but we're also cross-countries, and we had to make sure there were no users on the multiplayer lobby under 13, because it's illegal without their parental guidance. So that's part of all the things you have to look at before be able to join the lobby. As you can see, that's the lobby login page. So as you can see, you can't log in before you have entered all the data and looked at the term of service, term of use, and the privacy policy. So it's important you know what we are processing with your data. There isn't that much, but it's still your data, so you have the right to know. So now I'm going to cover recruitment and communication. So we are on most social media. So we're on Twitter, Mastodon, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, but we're also on LinkedIn, although there aren't much activity there. We also have a Bandcamp, which is used for the music, because our compositor Omri Lahab has some place where you can buy his music. And finally, you can find us and talk to us on QuakeNet. And you can probably reach me on Discord as well, but we have no official channel there because of our GDPR. We don't want to force you to have your data processed, so you can talk to us. And then we use Envision for forum software, which is a proprietary solution. So yeah, that's about it. I'll make sure to make the presentation available so you can click on all the links. So yeah, for the recruitment process, we're not we just look at how many contributions people make, how far in time they stay. So we don't give commit access that easily. But generally, if you stick around for a while and you are helpful and nice, you should get an invitation to the team. For us, it's a bit different because, well, it's completely, it's different from programmers. You can't judge contribution value because it's different. You have a bunch of legal waivers to sign, especially if you're an artist, so that we know all the contribution you make are under a Creative Commons license in order to not have problems in the future. Before we used to have interviews. Now we just do it on a contribution basis. So we're still looking for people, as I said, even if there are 30 people that are actually in the team, not all of them are programmers, and we're always looking for new people to help us, well, deal with things we can't because we don't have the time. So in the AI department, there are always progress to be made. So we have a bot called scripted in JavaScript. So that's the default AI you can face. It's pretty strong if you're not used to the game, but it has a bit of caveats, so you can like trick it pretty easily. Recently, somebody came and created a patch for machine learning and clustering, so you can plug a Python script to the game. So you're able to send comments to the game and, well, try stuff out. That's something we'd be interested in expanding, so you can have like something more than a proof of concept. Then there is the engine stuff, pathfinding, graphics, networking. We have a lot of things that aren't threaded at the moment, like the Pathfinder, and that's not the biggest bottleneck, but that's the big bottleneck at the end of the game when many units are moving. Well, the game starts to lag, so that's something we should fix. We could really use some more unit testing. We already have some, but it's not complete. There is a lot of work to be done since we have kind of quite a lot of legacy code. So there is a lot of duplicated code before, like, I don't know, the recent C++ standards and everything. So they recoded like all the functions that are now available in the standard library. For DevOps, we're looking for people to help us like improve like the continuous integration scripts and everything. And we're also looking for reviewers because we have quite a stack of patches and we're not able to review them all. And there are a lot of things to check and everything. And we could use like people, well, looking at the code and telling us this is bad, this is going to break or something. So yeah, finally on funding. So all our funds are managed by SPI, which is a non-profit organization that also supports Debian, I think. So when you donate money, it's for us, it's used to like mostly cover the expenses of hosting. We might use it in the future to pay contractors. There hasn't been anyone yet, but it's something we might consider in the future if we have a lot more of money. And then we use it to reimburse a part of contributors going to events like the FLOSS and all the other events. We mostly do events in France because we're mostly, a lot of us are French and can move. The only international event we do is the FLOSS. So yeah, as of 2018, it's a bit old, but like it's about accurate. We have 31k euros in the account. Yeah, so that's about it. We considered doing a crowdfunding, and there was one that was done in 2013. However, it like kind of failed. We still have the money, but we didn't reach any of the goals, so we couldn't hire a full-time programmer to help us deal with, well, programming matters. It took us like 2 years to send all the perks to all the people, because that's something you usually don't think about when you start a crowdfunding. You just like send a lot of perks, and then you realize that it's going to take a lot of time to process everything. So thank you for your time. Well, I can start with answering questions now, I think.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Stanislas. So we have the first question. Is there a split screen in 080?
I'm not sure. Split screen, so you can see what other people are doing, or you can play two at the same time? I'm not sure.
Yeah, let's see if the person is more specific. Yes, we only have that
Yeah.
about the split screen, but maybe it's related to the screen mode playing the game.
I don't think we have any kind of split screen. So yeah, I think it's just well, you have to play, if you want to play 2 people, you would have to play on 2 different computers. It's not maybe I should have specified this, but it's not a turn-based turn-based game. So you like it's real time. It's a real time strategy. So you don't have like to wait for people and stuff.
Okay, can you say something about the Python 2 situation?
Okay, I think I know who asked that question. So I'm just going to cover it. So for the Python migration, we have like 2 main problems. So first of all, like SpiderMonkey is relying on Python to build and on Python 2. So as of now, like for the released version, we are at SpiderMonkey 38. In the Dove version, we finally reached 52, but all of those, like until 78, depends on Python 2. So we need to upgrade that library, and there was like a big leap in code for 45 and 52, as I said before. And now that we are past this, it should get easier. The problem is we can't release any new version on any Linux because of this, because like for instance on Gen 2, I think the question popped for Debian too. If your package depends on Python 2, it's just being deprecated and they remove it for the official repositories. So yeah, we had to fix this. Then there is we have a few scripts. Most of them are like not really useful. I mean, like they can run Python too, but at some point we'll have to migrate them anyway. The most important one we have is the translation checker, which is this thing that sends PO files to Transifex. And the libraries we use to do this are not supported in Python 3. They haven't been updated and everything. So we had to switch, and well, there are probably some hidden problems with this, and we need to make sure like everything is okay. But so far, like the SpiderMonkey thing took us like even 2 years to get it right. So yeah, that was one of the biggest leaps.
Right.
And we're still not done.
And related to the split screen in 080.
No, it's not possible.
No. I just would like to add that the person is saying that it's related to 2 players at the same time on the same machine.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's not possible.
Okay. So let's see if we have more questions. Well, we have a comment. Thanks a lot for your great work with 080.
So yeah, I can cover most stuff until we get new questions. So yeah, a lot of people asked us why we're not on Steam or well whatever tool there is. There is a lot of problems with like GPL v2. We can't provide binaries that work with Steam. So you can do a standalone thing, but you kind of like remove all the advantage from being on Steam because we can't use anything from them. There is also a big thing from the reputation of the game. Unlike commercial games, like we have been around for a long time, 20 years, it's a long time, and the project is not done, and going on stuff like Steam and Microsoft Store and Apple Store would just like, if there was negative comments and stuff, plummet like all our reputation, and it would be nearly impossible in the future to revert back to whatever. We might, however, consider like itch.io, which has become quite popular these days. So yeah, we might go there after A24 is released, when that happens. So yeah, I think I covered this. We also have like, so the Linux problem was Python. The macOS problem is, well, it's macOS, which is one problem. But also like they have a lot of, well, IDPI support. We really need this. We don't have this in 0AD. We currently use pre-rendered fonts, which might look very bad on high resolution screens. And also like macOS has been threatening, and well, it hasn't ever supported OpenGL, but now they're threatening to remove whatever they supported. So we might have to resort to something else to be able to still, well, reach our players there. I've heard of Zinc, which is a library that translates GL code to, well, GL calls to Vulkan, which might be a solution. Else we might have to write a complete new renderer in order to be able to support those platforms. I think that's about it. Yeah, I don't have any more slides.
Okay, someone is asking if, can you share
Yeah, sure.
your slides afterwards, please? So let's wait if we have more questions. Okay, I think this is everything. Thank you very much, Stanislas.